want to thank you in the audience who are here tonight, because without your being here, this would be kind of an exercise in futility. Secondly, I would like to thank the city officials and candidates who are here with us tonight. Maria Carrasco on the school committee. Actually, if you would just stand and wave, and everybody hold your applause, because Tom has told me I only have 5 minutes. Clay Walsh. Seth Alba. He's with Lynn and he is also a candidate for the Ward 5 Councilor. Stanley Watring is a candidate for Lynn School Committee. Buzzy Barton is an incumbent looking to continue his seat on the City Councilor board. Diana Chakutis, did I pronounce that right? Is a candidate also for Ward 5 Councilor. Sabrina Panathinaikos Kudanis is a candidate for Councilor at Large. Rick Starbert is an incumbent school committee person looking for re-election. Jim Phelan is current city council president and also a candidate for mayor. Net is a current councilor incumbent and looking to be re-elected as councilor at large. Dan Cahill is an incumbent councilor at large and looking to be re-elected. Shirley Gallo is on the school committee and he also is a candidate for re-election. Jake Keogh is a Ward 5 councilor candidate. Miguel is a candidate for councilor at large. Paul Crowley, a former councilor at large, is seeking one of those spots again. Lorraine Gately is seeking a spot on the school committee. Jesse Jager is seeking a position as Ward 2 councilor. And Deb Plunkett is here as a candidate for Ward 1. Peter Capello is right there. And Brady Crichton is also a candidate for Okay. Brendan Crichton is also candidate for councilor at large. He's currently Ward 5 councilor. But he moved out. I think I got everyone else. Okay. We have a few press members here tonight. We have Seth Album, who is editor of Lynn Happens. We have Tom Sheehan, who is the editor of Lynn Side Edition. We have Stanley Watring, who is runs the Lynn School Watch blog. And we have Chris Stevens from the Lynn Item. We have Angela Owens from the Daily Item as well. We have Brittany from Lynn Camp. And we thank you for all of your cooperation and coverage. Who are we? I gotta hurry up. Okay. We have a board of directors with the Lynn Community Association, and that would be including Bob Conley and Caroline Daly is our youth representative, and she couldn't be here tonight. Patrick Devaney. Patrick, did you make it in? Oh, he takes the train. Charlie Gallo is on our board. Tyrone Hopkins is on our board. He's also known as the Lyrical Genius. Douglas and Dunkin' Donut. Douglas and Duncan Maitland are on our board. Andrew Russo is on our board, as well as Ileana Runyon, who could not be here tonight. And Tom, of course, is a former board member, as well as Jesse Jager. And Mary Ellen Palmer. And I think that covers everyone. All right. About the Lynn Community Association. I'm sorry. Our mission is to promote pride and ownership in the Lynn community through beautification, education, recreation, and neighborly relationships. In doing that, we put on several programs during the year. We're going for our third annual Martin Luther King Day of Service next January 20th. We put on a youth forum in March every year. We do several park cleanups during the year. We do the huge clean sweep every June. We have these candidate forums every time we have Lynn elections. And we also do a State of the City forum with the mayor every year. We have started now doing Red Cross blood drives, and we have one of those coming up July the 27th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And that is in coordination with Elhan, and it will be at the 10 Church Street building, and we would love to have your blood. We also do a resource fair in October, November, and then over the holidays we put up wreaths at some miscellaneous and sundry intersections around the city to just kind of brighten things up. Last but not least, we do voter registration. There are voter registration forms in the lobby. If you have not registered to vote in Lynn, you can do so tonight. We encourage you to please do that before the deadlines. During the debate, forum, debate, whatever you want to call it, please hold your applause till the end, because we have 8 candidates and a lot of questions, and they have to have their times to answer, and we really would like to get a lot of information tonight. It's to your benefit to let them answer the questions. There's a table over here where we have allowed candidates to bring information and put out about their campaigns. If you want to take home, if they're bumper stickers or brochures, feel free. And there are water bottles in the blue cooler back there, as well as some treats in the form of animal crackers and pretzels, if you get hungry or thirsty. And without further ado, I will be quiet and introduce our moderator, Tom Sheehan, former board member, editor of Lynn Side Edition, etc., and also a veteran of these forums. He has so far been the moderator at all of the ones that we've had. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, man. Welcome, everybody, to the 2013 Lynn Councilor at Large Candidates Forum, hosted by the Lynn Community Association and the Temple Ahavat Shalom. I'm going to start off by reading the rules so everybody's familiar with them. Each candidate will be allowed a 2-minute introduction. Candidates will present in alphabetical order. A yellow flag will be displayed by the timekeeper 15 seconds before time is up. I'd like to introduce our timekeeper, Steve Dwyer. A red flag will be displayed when time is finished. The moderator will ask questions which have been submitted anonymously by voters in the community. A name of the person who is to answer first will be drawn from a pool of candidate names. The question will then pass to that person's left until each person has had an opportunity to respond. Each candidate will have up to 90 seconds to answer the question. Yellow, red flag timekeeping will apply. If any candidate makes a remark which is directed toward another specific candidate, that candidate will be allowed 45 seconds to respond. Yellow, red flag timekeeping apply. Following approximately 75 minutes of questions and answers, each candidate in reverse alphabetical order will be allowed an additional 1.5 minutes to make closing statements. And I don't have to say it, but yellow and red timekeeping will apply. Candidates who do not respect the timekeeping rules may be disqualified from participating in the remainder of the debate. And I'm very tempted to use this. Don't make me use it.
What does it mean?
You're right.
Give us a test.
I already did try it, by the way. It's pretty loud. So please make sure that your cell phones are off for courtesy's sake. Hold your applause while the candidates are speaking. We know why we're here. We're here to get more informed about the candidates' beliefs and positions so that we can go to the polls in November and make an informed choice. So we'll start with a 2-minute introduction, and it will, the candidates will, I'll introduce each candidate. The first will be Clay Walsh.
Thank you, Tom. Hello, everyone. My name is Robert Clay Walsh. I'm 36 years old, and I live in the city of Lynn. I work with my father and brother at Walsh's Oil Company, and then I also moonlight part-time as a bartender in Beverly. I am a graduate of St. Mary's High in Lynn and Endicott College. I've been very active in the city of Lynn, serving on the Knights of Columbus and Friends of Lynn Woods boards. I have also served as a volunteer for LISOA and Island Santa here in the city. Tomorrow I will be canning for Veterans Appreciation Day, so if anybody's in the Wyoming Square area, I'd be happy to take your money for that. I am also, for the past 3 years, have been your plow guy in the downtown Lynn neighborhood. Just like my father who started Walsh's Oil Company, my uncle who started John's Oil, and my other uncle who is spearheading the Aquasino here in Lynn, I too want to make my mark on the city of Lynn as your next councilor at large. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I started in reverse alphabetical order. So when we do the closing statements, you'll go first, Buzzy. That's okay. Okay. Next we have Hong Net. Is that no? Let's see. Katerina Panagiotakis Kudanis.
Thank you for having me today. My name is Katerina Panagiotakis Kudanis. I'm not a politician. I'm just an ordinary Lynn girl devoted to my family, hometown, nature. I love the beach, walking through the woods, architecture, and the people in my community. I don't think I deserve to be on the council simply because of my accomplishments that I've tried to do so far about the city, but I want to offer my service as a different perspective with a master planning idea in mind. I work as a designer planner on an international project. I received an architecture degree from Wentworth Institute of Technology. I'm a member of an historical commission appointed by the mayor. I was born in former hospital and live in different parts of Lynn. My goals are large yet fairly practical. I wish to help organize the balance of open government as a cooperative unit with the people, increasing representation to neighborhoods. I believe in smart growth development, green policy with tax incentives, greener and safer infrastructure, preservation of greenbelt, with preserving our borders against future legal battles. I believe in preserving, improving, and strengthening our neighborhoods is a high priority. Resolution to substance abuse issues, prioritizing Lynn families first. I believe that it takes a village to raise a child, and I believe you can do this in a big city such as Lynn by identifying our neighborhoods as clusters nodes and reorganizing the infrastructure to flow within it, allowing neighborhoods to be included in regulating their own areas, and strengthen commercial clusters with identification. For those who don't know me, you can find out more about me on City of Lynn Concepts.com and Detective.
Next up, Councilor at Large Hong Net.
Thank you. Good evening. First, I would like to thank the Lynn Community Association for hosting this forum. I'm honored to just visit this such wonderful candidates in my life. I also want to thank my wife here for the support. Especially want to thank our audience tonight. As you know, I'm from Hong Kong. I came to this country 30 years ago and have been a resident of Lynn for 15 years. I graduated from Police Catholic High School in 1988 and from UMass Amherst in 1992 with a bachelor's degree in legal science. I am married and have 2 children who are both in Lynn public schools. My wife and I have been married for 15 years and we have bought our first home in this city. And just like many other residents in here in Lynn, I am just a concerned citizen who wants to help Lynn to be a safe city for us to live, to raise our families, and to work. Currently, I am working for the Massachusetts Department of Revenue as a child support enforcement specialist. I was elected to the City Council 2 years ago and have been working hard to improve our resident and community to participate in the process and decision making that affects our lives. I will continue to build bridges between our city government and our communities and our civic institutions. Most importantly, I will continue to listen to your voices and make them heard in City Hall. Thank you very much and I look forward to your questions.
Next is candidate Miguel Funes.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me in the back? Okay. My name is Miguel Funes, and I like to thank Mary Johann and also the Community Association for holding this event here tonight, and as well as the Ahad, the Shalom building, and everybody involved in making this happen. Thank you. I moved to Lynn in 1992 in search of a better future, something that my family and kids can grow, save, they can get an education, work, go to college. That happened. My daughter went to classical, my son went to English. And from day one, since I moved here, I've been getting nothing but beautiful things from the city of Lynn. Everything positive. And today, I feel like I want to give back. I want to work with the community. I want to work with the businesses. And I want to work with the voice that you have so I can bring those complaints to City Hall so they can actually put an action into it. Not just listen and not do anything. But my goal is actually to continue the trend that for many years in the city of Lynn is growing. And it's growing one step at a time. Sometimes we say, when is the waterfront going to be developed? Well, it takes time and it takes a few steps. And I know we're going to get into that a little while later. But yes, I'm running for council at large, and I'd like to have one of you 4 votes come September 17th and November after the final election.
Next is candidate Paul Crowley.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Mary Fahan. Thank you, members of ELA, for hosting this forum. I also want to thank Congregation Ahavat Shalom for the use of the facilities. And I'd like to start by giving folks a little bit of background about my education. I was born and raised in Lynn, went to graduated from Lynn Vocational and Technical Institute in 1977 with an electronics degree. I went to Northeastern University and studied accounting and graduated in 1987. Now I'm the administrator of a nonprofit in Lynn. I think most of you would know that I am the executive director of Greater Lynn Senior Services. Now, how I took my electronics degree and my accounting degree and became the executive director is not exactly clear, but I will tell you it has a lot to do with my heart and my interest in supporting the community that we live in. I've been there active job in supporting and advocating for the interests of the elderly and disabled in our population. I have also been very supportive of the Lynn community in terms of bringing business into the community. We moved a transportation facility to Lynn in 2009, which brought 400 jobs to the city of Lynn. My family, I grew up right here in East Lynn on Green Street. Born in 1959, I'm going to be 54 years old next month. Can't believe it. Community means a lot to me, and I just wanted to make sure that everybody understands here that whether I am the executive director of Bliss, city councilor, a parent, a neighbor, I am interested in the best interest of the city of Lynn, and that's where I focus all my attention.
One quick thing, I just want to make sure everybody in the back can hear.
You didn't hear that? I got to say it over. What if we
What? You can do what you want if you want to stand.
Can everyone hear me back there?
People standing.
Is the microphone
Yeah,
working?
we did.
This
It's
microphone
not
just
on.
goes to the Lynn Cam TV.
Oh, okay.
We're sorry. Yeah.
Does the PA system work?
Someone.
Next time I'll bring mine.
Next time we
Okay.
have the salt.
Okay, just keep that in mind as you're speaking. Make sure you project out there.
Tom, can I have 2 more minutes?
I'm sorry, Paul. Brendan Brendan Crichton is Councilor at Large currently.
Well, I do want to correct that first, Tom, and no disrespect to
Oh, I'm
Larry. I
sorry.
am the Ward 5 City Councilor.
I am
I
wrong.
am running at large. I first want to thank you as well as Mary.
Excuse me.
Thank you as well. Thank you as well as Mary. All right, so I want to thank you as well as Mary and all of you for being here tonight. It's so important to be involved throughout this whole political process. I think it's great to see such a crowded room on a Wednesday in July. Running for Ward 5 Council was really the best decision I've made in my life. It's the job I love. I love it more and more every day. It's been an honor to serve for the past 3.5 years. I've really been most proud, I think, of my constituent services, helping out the people that call almost every day, whether the issue is as small as a pothole or as big as economic development or zoning. My goal is to be as accessible and responsive to everyone who calls and to be as helpful as possible. And I think improving our neighborhoods as well has been a focus. And it's not something you can really quantify, but over time, you can see little improvements here and there. And I know it's a lot of hard work ahead of us, but looking out in this room, I know a lot of you have been there every step of the way in terms of the fight and your activism in the community, so I appreciate all your efforts there. I think moving forward, if there's a city we want to expand our services and really bring them to the level that they deserve to be, we're going to need to expand through economic development. We're going to need to increase our revenues by bringing new businesses and new residents in. And I think, along with a number of my colleagues here tonight, we've really made a lot of progress over the past few years. We've found a way to expedite permitting for businesses along the waterfront. We've worked with new businesses coming in through TIFs and other programs like that. We've made investments, a $4 million investment in our public infrastructure to encourage new businesses to come, new residents to come and be a part of this. So I look forward to the exchange of ideas tonight, and thank you so much for coming.
Councilor at Large, Dan Cahill.
Thank you, Tom. Good evening, everybody. My name is Dan Cahill. I'm a city councilor at large. I'd like to do some quick thanks to Tom, to Mary, to the LCA, to the Rabbi for allowing us to have this beautiful venue. It's like a homecoming. I grew up about 2 blocks that way. I'm not sure I drive. My parents are here. They follow me to all these events, even though I'm 34 years old. My father was the only one embarrassed by that. I want to save as much time, though, because I know it's so important to have questions from the audience. You can read about me, my bio, while I answer long-winded questions, so please, I won't take offense. But most importantly, I'd like to just tell you I'm a homeowner here in the city of Lynn. I'm married to the most wonderful woman in the world, my wife Angela, who's unable to be here tonight. She's watching our 2-year-old Charlotte, and we have one on the way. coming January, so I'm very invested in this city, and I'm not going anywhere. And I want to make sure that this city is as great a city as that I grew up in and went to public schools in this city as my kids are going to go to. So I look forward to your questions. Thanks for everybody, and let's have a great night.
New Councilor at Large, Buzzy Barr.
Thank you. That's running for re-election. First of all, thank you for hosting this. I opened up this nice brochure, and it said I was 58. I lived in the city for 61 years. But, on the other side, I'm really happy to be here. I've been a resident of Lynn all my life. I was on the Lynn Fire Department for 28 years. It was probably the best 28 years of my life. I really enjoyed it. Public safety is what I concentrate on. I give back to the city that way. I coached sports in the city of Lynn for many years. I just love working with the youth in the city, and you know, I enjoy being a counselor. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. We're going to move on to the questions now. And if you could keep your applause down to a bare minimum, to nothing, actually, because we want to give everybody a chance to answer the most questions. We want to ask the most questions as possible. So, the first thing we're going to do is pick a name out to see who goes first. Brendan Crichton will go first, and then the question will pass to the person on his left. So Paul would be next, down the line to Clay, and then back to Buzzy. And then we'll pick another name for the next question. Okay, the first question. In political races, we often discuss the successes and never really discuss the failures of what could have been done better to improve the situation for the greater whole for the future. Looking back, what is one failure that you would wish to have done differently, and what will you plan to do next about it or on a similar situation?
Thank you for that very thoughtful question. I'm talking about my failures. So, I mean, I guess looking back at my first 2 terms on the council, I think you get into office, you kind of get a feel for the situation, you take it easy kind of moving into it. There were a few big issues that came up initially that I think I focused a little bit too much attention on, and maybe wasn't focused as much on the bigger picture things over time. And I think communication is something we could have did a little bit better. I think throughout the city, and certainly no fault of any branch in particular, but it took a little while for I think everyone to get comfortable. I think moving forward, we really just need to jump into it all together, the council, city officials, the mayor, and really work together from the start. I mean, there's really everyone in this room, every elected official wants what's best for the city, and we may have different ways of doing it. But at the end of the day, I think we can all come to a consensus, and there's really no need for any, divisive or any, I guess, loss of focus on what really matters, which is helping the constituents. So I think communication is one thing I'd like to start right out the gates if I'm elected councilor at large. Thank you.
I'll just let the next candidate take it up instead of announcing them.
Okay, I'm going to try to speak a little bit louder this time so that everybody can hear in the back. As far as failures go, I think what I'd like to do is just talk about my first term 6 years ago when I did pretty well in the election and hit the ground running and put in a lot of energy to learn as much as I could about City Hall and how it worked and so forth. And I learned an awful lot pretty quickly, but there was one thing that I didn't learn until I actually experienced it, and that is how important it is to have always developing relationships with the other members of the council, the school committee members, the department heads. You need to be able to work together as a unit, and that's a big part of being in in that position, whether it's council, school committee, or the mayor's office, you really do need to be able to work with everybody, regardless of circumstances. A particular failure that I'd like to point out is one that I can only take part of the blame for. 2 years ago, or actually maybe 3 years ago, I pushed really hard with the council to get an audit committee on the city council because we didn't have one, and it was required under the charter. And my regret is that 2 years later, after that committee has been up and running, and we've already announced a management audit and so forth, that no audits have undertaken. And I would like to get back to that role and make sure that the audit committee and the management function gets its proper due.
Thank you. Failure. One of the things that I learned is that there is no such thing as failure, but recognition. And the more you campaign in the city of Lynn, more people you meet, talk to them, see what their concerns are, I think it gives you the strength to continue doing the political movement that you are actually trying to get across. I was new in the city, not known to anybody. And many of you have seen me on the sides of the face and probably say, oh, I know that guy. That's what it means to run for office, to get your name out there, to make sure that you get recognized, visibility, and most important, to get people to vote and to vote for you.
Well, I haven't felt a lot, but anyway, so one of the feelings in the council, I find myself that I'm too cautious, and I've been worried too much to make mistakes. And my colleagues have been telling me, don't worry about making mistakes. Whatever you believe in, just do it as long as your heart tells you. So I have been learning a lot for this past 1.5 years. And so that's my feeling. But I still feel uncomfortable sometimes because it's so new to me. Because I never ran for politics before. So I'm afraid that people criticize me, but I know it's a good thing to be criticized. But sometimes it hurts, because you try to do the right thing, and people still think that you don't do good. But you try to do the best you can, but it hurts. That's my failure. But I'm learning from it. So day by day, I start to realize that, well, that's part of life and part of politics. So you cannot please everybody. So you do what you think is the right thing to do. So I think that's so I believe that from now on I will learn my mistakes. So hopefully I won't be a failure again. Thank you so much.
Being on the historical commission, one of the biggest failures when I first began on my appointment was leaving something onto someone else to take care of. There was a big issue in the Highlands, and we have a historic area that is now blasted. I failed with the community to try and communicate the issue with our politicians. But I learned that from that experience that we need to take matters to ourselves. We need to contact agencies are open doors. We can contact any agency. And I learned that especially with the Walmart and Lowe's battle. As a city of Lynn, we actually failed at the Salem Planning Board, and we were expecting to fail there. They actually supported the project. And it just taught us to be more persistent, not give up, and call every agency that can be involved from the National Heritage and Endangered Species Program, the Walking Up was involved, the state, local agencies. We did our own research, and what the lesson learned was stay persistent and don't give up and keep up the fight.
I absolutely love that question because I think that is the most sincere and genuine question that reflects why all 8 of us are here tonight. If Not each of us thought that we didn't think there was something wrong in the city, or the city could use some improvement, or that each of us wanted to make a difference. I don't think we'd be here at this table tonight. Ironically, when Tom asked the question, the first thought that came to my mind was our city boardwalk. A long time ago, the city came up with this phase, this plan through EDIC to develop Seaport. Part of that plan had included a boardwalk that would stretch through where Seaport is now, through the yacht clubs and over to the beach. Something that is, as your next councilor at large, I would be happy to do is to begin conversations with our yacht clubs again, to try to figure out how we can resolve and build our boardwalk again and have a place for our people to take their dogs, go for walks, enjoy their afternoons. I did bring a couple of visual aids with me tonight. This is a visual aid of the Seaport District in Boston. I believe that Boston has had a unified vision about what they want to accomplish, and clearly, in the past 10 years, they've done so in the Seaport District. I don't see why not. We can't have a microcosm of this on our waterfront. Thank you.
That word failure, it never sat well with me. Something that I would do different the second time around if I'm reelected. I would get more aggressive with the department heads, making City Hall more user-friendly. You know, I'd have each department head sit down with me and find ways that people feel comfortable walking in their office and doing business. That's something I said when I was first running, and that's something that I would start to get aggressive with. Thank you.
Well, if you're talking about personal failures, I don't think we have enough time for me to talk about my personal failures. As a counselor, I can tell you this. When the city fails, I fail, and if I fail, I feel like the city fails. And every time you feel like the streets are too dirty, and your streets haven't been plowed out on time, and the tree just can't get trimmed in front of your house, and there's a pothole that just seems to be there every year, nonstop. You know, when you call us and we can't get it done, we truly feel like we failed. And there are instances where I've been unable to follow through and achieve some of the goals that I've been trying to achieve, but we're constantly working together to try to fix those areas. Every day we're trying to find a better way, working together to make sure that we have a better community. So those failures, you can certainly blame me. I actually welcome the blame you placed on me, but just know that each and every day I'm working harder and harder to try to make sure that those failures don't come back on me or the city of Lynn. So together, I think, if we try to put our heads together and work real hard to try to identify some of the problem areas that we have in the city of Lynn, which I anticipate we do tonight. So not so much failures, but places for improvement, I think. So hopefully my personal failure will demise as well as time goes on. Yeah.
Okay, we'll go on to the next question. And I'm happy to repeat these questions. We'll start with Katarina on this one. And this one is, we have read and heard about disagreement and discontent on the council between individual councilors and between the council and the executive. How do you intend to overcome this so that the council functions effectively for the entire city?
It's simple. Try not to take anything personally. Criticism, I've learned that very well in my architecture schooling. And I've learned to just simply communicate. If we communicate, share ideas, if we agree or not, the issues need to be on the table. Everyone needs to know different perspectives, and that's what I want to do. I want to offer a different perspective.
Talk about the rose between two thorns here. I think Katarina's right. I think it's important to be able to go to bed at night and leave your battles behind you. Wake up tomorrow and fight the next fight. There's going to be another battle the next day. I absolutely believe that it's also up to each of us as individuals to try to step up and do the right thing. You know, at the end of the day, I'm responsible for myself. As far as me trying to take initiatives, I'm usually a guy that's always willing to work with people. I'm happy to work with people, my door's always open. And in worst case, I will go to them and ask them to work with me. I think at the end of the day, you gotta try. Thank you.
Question again.
The question is, we have read about and heard about disagreement and discontent on the council between individual councilors and between the council and the executive. How do you intend to overcome this so that the council functions effectively for the entire city?
I don't think you can put 11 people in a room together and always come out with the same answer. But I think this council that we have right now, I thought we did a pretty good job. I mean, we had our ups and downs. You know, like we had a vote last night, it was 8-3, you know, so we always don't agree. But I think everybody in the room is putting the city first, and you know, I think with that way, the majority, you know, usually gets it right, you know, so.
I think it's important, I'm sorry, I think it's important to point out that the Lynn City Council is not like Washington DC. It's not the tumultuous body that you read about in the paper. I've been on boards where you've had unanimous votes, and I've been on boards like this one where there's been narrow losses and narrow wins. And I got to tell you, it all depends on the substance of the debate. We've tackled some really socially divisive issues. We've battled on marijuana. We've battled about fiscal issues regarding bonding. We've battled about you know, how the government's run. And I don't think that the turmoil of the discourse is necessarily bad. I can tell you, one of my favorite people in the world is Peter Capano, who I debate on all the time. Peter, I hate to spot you, but people think that Peter and I don't get along. We're probably two of the most ideologically sane people who just love to debate. And I think, but honestly, I think that ideas have become better because of that, and projects have gone better because of that. And even members of this board who are incumbents, myself, Buzzy, Brendan, and on, go through our voting record. We're not in lockstep. Last night we voted off each other. But you know what? We all respect one another, and I respect them and their wisdom, and I welcome their input. But I don't think that we're really at odds. We disagree with the mayor, but we're two totally different branches. But a lot of the times we work very well with the mayor. So be selfish. Be proud of your council. Be proud of your mayor. I think government's working, and I think your input's being heard. And I think that when you have this it's actually a very good thing. It's very healthy for a community and government.
I agree with both Buzzy and Dan. I think disagreements are a good thing. We have a diverse city, a lot of different ideas out there, and I hope that the council would reflect that. We've been on every one of the council's been on the losing end of a number of votes. We don't vote yes down the line, and I think having a healthy debate is healthy for democracy. And I hope it continues. I do think that we do need to keep in mind not to take anything personally, and that's where you head down a bad path with disagreements. But if you treat it as, you know, I think it's like Clay said, you know, tomorrow's a new day. Could agree with someone tomorrow that you disagree with the night before, but as long as you're communicating and you're focusing on the business at hand, I think we'll work through it. Thank you.
I think disagreement and discontent are two very different things. When you disagree with somebody, you know, it's okay. I think that it's important that people disagree, and I also think it's important that there are a number of different ideas brought to the table in the form of debate, with disagreement being an important part of what we do. You know, we hear the term "celebrate diversity" on a number of occasions, and in Lynn, there's no place better than to celebrate diversity in Lynn. We need to celebrate the diversity of ideas as well. In terms of discontent, I think that is a fracturing, negative piece of what can go on a council or on any kind of board that needs to get a majority vote to support it. When discontent rules the day, you will not get good results. It's always important that as we meet and discuss ideas, that we are quiet about our criticism and loud about our praise. And by doing that, I think that and looking to work together and look for compromise and so forth, that you can actually come up with ideas that end up being the right idea, not the weakest idea that is watered down by a number of different factions within a group. If you all sit around, work it out, and not only want people's ideas, but embrace their ideas. You can do an awful lot of good things, whether it's on the council, state legislature, or in the U.S. Congress. And I've just got to say quickly, I know I got a red flag here, but I'm going to spot Pete Capano too. Him and I don't agree on anything. And it's always been a good debate because you know what? The two of us have an honest debate about the issues and we respect each other's opinions.
It's funny, somebody, one of my brothers here said Washington. It's not Washington. Well, last night, as I was going downstairs, the city hall, somebody was coming up with like 4 boxes, one of the councilors, I'm not gonna say who, 4 boxes of pizza. And I said, wow, it's gonna be a long night. And that's what it is in Washington when they have a long debate and they can make something pass. The experience that I have sitting in the visiting area, never been to council before, is how these people work together. They can sort it out and they come to a conclusion at the end of the night. They can go home holding groceries. And it's all about agreeing to what's the best decision for the city of Lynn. It's not what they want to do. It's because they bring in your voice to City Hall. And when you elect one of us, we need to bring to City Hall that idea. We got to put it on the table. We have to delegate. This not is my way or no way. It is the way the 11 councilors get to reach that decision, and that's how they vote on it. It's how you get to yes, not by fighting, by taking the people, the voters, and Lynn seriously. And that's how it starts.
Well, once again, and Brendan was much right about that. Yes, we all got elected not to get along all the time. We got elected to represent people that we represent. And of course, everybody has different ideas. And we're not fighting in the council. We are debating on issues. And of course, when we debate, sometimes we lose a little patience too. But that's normal. I have seen Congress people even throw shoot at each other. That is all right, but it's not. But I guess I hope it's not going to happen like that to us. It will not happen. But at the end of the day, we come to compromise. We talk out, we communicate, and we sit down. We find out why we do that, and after all, we get a lot of fun. And like they say, I agree. So there is more special. Just forget about it, and because part of politics, and even your spouse, you can't get along.
Next, we'll start with Buzzy Bard. And I just want to remind candidates to respect the 90-second limit on answering questions. The next question is, under what circumstances would you recommend a resident contact an at-large counselor rather than the designated ward counselor? Under what circumstances would you recommend a resident contact an at-large counselor rather than a designated ward counselor?
I think he's talking about friends, I lost the thought.
I guess I'm trying to get to I guess the questioner is trying to get to the difference between how do you see
Ward
yourselves as
counselor,
different
yes,
from ward
counselor.
counselor?
Okay, yeah, okay, I got you now, thank you. The ward counselors, a lot of ward counselors, they get a lot more phone calls than the at-larges do. you know, about trees and sidewalks and stuff like that. Us council at larges, we don't get as many calls. We usually get the calls when they don't get no results from their ward councilor. And what I did myself was during the snowstorms, the ward councilors were getting a lot of phone calls, and they couldn't handle all their calls. So what I did was I called a couple of ward councilors, and I took half their list, and I got back to their people, you know, and I even walked to some of their houses, and I helped people shovel. So a councilor at large, as far as a ward councilor, they just don't get the phone calls that they get. So you just do the best you can and help the ward councilors out. Thank you.
It's interesting. Ward councilors, you know, Lynn's a big city, but it's really not. I walk the city, it takes me the whole year to walk the city. Ward councils can do their wards 3 or 4 times. People build relationships with their ward council. It's much different than they do with their outliers, because they're just in that area more often. And a lot of times it just comes down to who you know. You call the person you feel most comfortable with. I have folks that call me because they know me, because they're former neighbors, or they are my neighbors, or I just met them the other day. And a lot of folks don't know who their ward councilors are, so if they see you around and they want to have a relationship with you. But ward councilors are pretty much the first line of defense for a lot of folks because they are in their neighborhoods. I get some calls from Ward 2 because I'm in the neighborhood as well. Do I get as many as Bill Trahant? Absolutely not. When Bill or any other ward councilor is having a hard time getting the issue through, we're happy to work with them because sometimes a call from 2 to 5 councilors on an issue seems to create more change than just a call from one city councilor. But as far as the difference is concerned, I mean, obviously we're here, the 4 of them are there to make sure that the entire city is well represented. We're also there to help some ward councilors in case there's, there's an issue that may be thrust upon one section of the city and they need help. Because, well, that's the example, if we wanted to site a dump in the middle of the city, I mean, we'd have a battle royale, and it's good for a councilor at large just to kind of take perspectives in the interest of the whole city to make sure that all the interests are maintained. So it's a different dynamic, but it's a fun dynamic. You like working with it.
I guess as a current ward council, I have a different perspective. I think that all the calls should come to the ward councilor. Shouldn't bother with their life. A few months from now, I may change that opinion, depending on what came in the polls. But in all seriousness, I think the ward councilors and the large councils work really well together. I mean, there are a number of times I've gone to all 4 of these guys and asked them for help on any particular issue. My ward council right now is great. He comes over the house, helps all around. Rich Bellucci is trying to get rid of my fear of getting up on the ladder to clean the gutters. So he's really hands-on. I think it's important to maintain that relationship. But I don't think you'd ever hesitate in calling an at-large counselor on similar issues to the board. We really all work together. Thank you.
As far as the difference between an at-large counselor and a ward counselor in terms of how you, in this audience, or anybody who has an issue with the city that you need to address, I think it always boils down to relationships. It's interesting. I haven't been on the council for about 2 years now, or actually a year and a half, I guess it's been, and I still get a lot of calls. And I don't mind that. In fact, I'm really glad that I do. I'll see people. The relationships that we have with department heads that we develop over time are lifelong. They don't go away simply because you're not an elected official. Being an at-large counselor versus a ward counselor really doesn't matter ultimately in terms of a vote, because everybody's vote counts as one. In terms of the ward counselor and how they need to focus on issues within their ward per se, more than outside of their ward. I think that's an important thing. I just equate a story when I was first on the council, and I lived in Ward 7. One of my colleagues, the Ward 7 councilor, was going to Florida for a week in the winter, and he asked me if I would take his calls. And being a new counselor, and one who didn't quite understand the role of a ward counselor, I said, sure. And we had a snowstorm afternoon, and,
Thanks,
you know,
Paul.
the phone rang off.
Thank you.
Oh,
Your time is up.